Greetings everyone. So the cartoonist Scott Adams has recently been cancelled completely over the last few days for his reaction to a Rasmussen poll. There were two questions, well, more like two statements made in this poll. The first was, it's okay to be white, and black Americans were asked to react to such a statement, whether they agreed or disagreed with it. 53% agreed that it was okay to be white, 26% disagreed, and 21% weren't sure. Black people were then also asked if black people can be racist too. 76% of them agreed, 27% disagreed, and 8% were not sure. Now, Scott Adams reacted to this on his live stream that he does on YouTube apparently, and here are some of the comments he made.
So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Wherever you have to go, just get away.
Now, those comments were quite strong. I know some people tried to defend him, but they were very strong comments. If he'd have just reacted saying this poll is racist, you can't have this many people saying it isn't okay to be a certain race, that would be fine. But then when he goes on to tell white people to get away from black people, he basically says move away from them, don't live with them. It's like he's calling for segregation. And I think you have to take things into context here, because of course some people will say, well, there are some black people who also want segregation. Right, but the thing is, in the USA, there was a time, not that many decades ago, where there was segregation, and in that segregation, black people were treated very badly. So when you have a fairly well-known white person saying, essentially there should be segregation again, it's going to get a negative reaction, unsurprisingly, really. Now, of course, if in this poll the races were flipped round, and the statement was it's okay to be black, and 26% of white people disagreed, and then Scott Adams was actually a black cartoonist, and he, in his live stream, said, this was awful, these people are hateful, you should stay away from them. I don't think there'd be any problem with that. There'd be no reaction, he wouldn't be cancelled, everything would be fine. But again, I think it's just down to the context, really, because he's essentially calling for segregation. That doesn't look good when a white person does it. However, let's take a look at the poll again. The second statement was black people can be racist too, and 27% of them disagreed with this. So that is the same amount, pretty much, of people who don't think it's okay to be white. So they answer the it's okay to be white with no, it isn't. Then they answer, can black people be racist? No, of course they can't. So their answer to the first question couldn't be racist because they can't be racist. This is, of course, utter nonsense. Anyone of any race can be racist to anyone of any other race. This weird idea that it isn't okay to be white and that black people can't be racist is being pushed quite strongly. And it seems as though a lot of people are buying into it. If you just look at the results of this poll, that's quite sad. It's amazing what can be gotten away with. As I said before, flip the races, have the statement it's okay to be black, and have 26% of white people polled disagree with that. There would be mass outrage for days, weeks, even months. And yet this way around, it doesn't seem to be a problem. The only problem was Scott Adams' reaction to this poll. That, I agree, was very strong. I don't think he should be cancelled. If anything, maybe he could be invited to various news programs to sort of clarify what he was saying. He could be challenged on some of the things that he said. He could try and maybe flesh out and explain what he meant. Maybe he'd take back some of the things he said. But just to cancel him outright, and this was a very quick cancelling. It was a matter of days, and he was cancelled en masse by just about everyone. And of course, these companies that cancelled him are doing it just for money. They're doing it because they fear they're going to lose money if they don't cancel him. They don't do it because they care about this issue and they strongly disagree with him. They do it because it's the thing to do. Just like all those people that believe that, whatever the current thing is, we're going to jump on that bandwagon. And they also believe that if they were alive back when slavery was going on, they would be against it. They would stand up against it. They would not stand up against it. They would be on the bandwagon of whatever the common thing was to do. Back when it was common and normal to have slaves in society, they would have slaves. This speaks to a wider point, and I think it's somewhat demonic in its nature. The two things that are constantly being pushed, division and fear. And often fear causes division, as we saw in the COVID pandemic time, when a lot of the people who were wearing masks and getting vaccinated were very angry with the people who were not, because they felt that they were essentially trying to kill them. And that fear caused a lot of division in society. But division like this is very good for the elites. It's very good for those who are in charge, because then people are fighting amongst themselves and they're not looking at what those at the top are doing. I remember there was a video put out some time ago suggesting that white people using emojis of black people was racist. It was digital blackface.
Blackface is when a non-black person uses makeup to blacken up. Minstrel shows depicted black people in all sorts of negative ways. They were mocking, demeaning stereotypes, and they exaggerated black people's facial features and their expressions. And digital blackface is the 21st century version of that. White people using GIFs to perform some kind of exaggerated blackness.
Now this kind of video, again, it's seeds being planted to cause division. The suggestion is that whenever white people use black emojis, they're actually trying to be racist. They're getting away with racism, doing digital blackface. There were two purposes to such a video being made. One was to make black people believe that whenever a white person uses a black emoji, they're actually trying to be secretly racist. And it was also used to make white people believe that black people actually think they're being racist whenever they use a black emoji. It was to make them think, oh, black people think we're racist every time we do anything. None of those things are true. White people do not use black emojis because they're racist, and black people do not think white people are being racist when they use black emojis. There's no issue there, but the video was made to cause an issue, to cause division, and that's what's clearly happened. As you can see by this poll in the USA, a quarter of the people asked if it was okay to be white, to have white skin, didn't think it was, and 21% of them were not sure. So almost half of the black people asked if it was okay to simply be a white person walking around were not convinced it was. That is quite frightening. The Catholic Church clearly teaches that racism is wrong. It doesn't teach that racism from race A isn't okay when it's against race B, but race B can't be racist against any other race. It just teaches that it's wrong. I see the diabolical behind division, behind fear, behind anger. It's always there lurking. It's always there trying to separate people, make them hate each other, rather than join, unite, and all come together and worship God and be thankful and happy and just live in harmony with one another. And sadly, there are forces, I call them useful idiots, tools of the evil one, who keep pushing this kind of nonsense that black people and white people hate each other. I think in the UK, this poll would not get such a high percentage of people responding that it wasn't okay to be white. There are tensions in the UK, but I don't think they're anywhere as strong as they are in the USA. The social engineering has been very successful in causing division between black and white people. And yes, there was a time of slavery. And yes, the white people then who were in charge, some of the white people did terrible things. But again, imagine doing a poll asking only Jews if it's okay to be German. And a big percentage of them said it wasn't because of what the Nazis in Germany did back in the 1940s. So I just wanted to comment on that because it's such a big story doing the rounds. But again, folks, just stay true to your faith. You know this is all nonsense. It's all just done to cause division. And let's just try and be united and love your neighbor as yourself, as the second commandment teaches. Thanks very much for watching. Please come back soon.